Hey Instagram, hey YouTube, Robert J. Conley here. Today's topic is it takes more than one leader. There is, as I mentioned before, my definition of a leader is an intuitive individual who can see what others can't see, can see opportunity, um, and has the courage to make the proclamation that this is what we should do, and this creates the space for work to then happen. And there are two intuitive types that I want to compare that I consider both to be leaders. And one of the forms does not necessarily think of themselves as leaders, and yet they are. So remember, all of this, so the common denominator between these two is intuition. And what I submit is that uh, one of those intuitive forms of individual is supports their intuition with reason, and the other one supports their intuition with values. If you're familiar with the Myers-Briggs model, or the Jungian belief, I should say, is that there are thinkers and feelers. And so the thinker backs his or her intuition with reason, and the feeler backs his or her intuition with values. And for the most part, we think of the feeler, as a people person and the thinker as a systems person. There is at work, what we see is that the thinker will be more prone and more interested in designing systems that can then be operated by people, but not nearly the same innate capacity to identify the right people and to see the best in people that the intuitive feeler sees. So we also think in terms of the intuitive thinker leading from vision. And when we talk about intuitive thinkers, we're talking Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, Bezos, Musk. All of those highly noticeable people are intuitive thinkers. And so as you start thinking about them, they are the people who envision new systems and improving systems. And it's just all about system. What we often don't see is the people person who was instrumental in finding the right people to implement these systems. And so when we engage the intuitive feeler in the process, so the two intuitives can connect on that level of possibility, of abstractness that is uncomfortable to the people that we term, for the most part, uncomfortable to the people that we term sensors. They're not quite as on board until something becomes more concrete. And so the brain power between the intuitive feeler and the intuitive thinker, and the synergy to make those things connect and to put them in place, causes explosive growth and tremendous energy within an organization. So, we'll also see on just a little bit of a different take is that the intuitive thinker will be preoccupied with technology and the latest technology, and especially in this era where we can see it's all about technology. That's what that person is typically preoccupied with. And by the same token, the intuitive feeler is preoccupied with morale and with how are the troops doing, and are we doing all that we can? And it's also comes from a place of a true concern for the well-being and identity of the individual. And no other personality group, temperament group has the capacity for this concern and caring for the other individual. And as I said in a couple videos ago, empathy. And I think that's still, some people who watch that video might still not, might have thought I was dirting on empathy, and I wasn't. But what I was dirting on was this. We all know, well, if you're a student of the game and of observing speakers and people who espouse things, one particular speaker has made an absolute fortune touting empathy as I don't want to accuse her of saying it's a cure-all, but definitely, it's the thing. And what what we don't necessarily hear from that same person is it's part of the thing, because empathy without a system to add effectiveness is, it makes you feel good, but it's not productive. It doesn't add to the overall well-being of a community. So in working, the intuitive thinker and the intuitive feeler working together, the intuitive thinker will come mainly from vision and from this is the future. And, Bill Gates, a computer on every desk, Jeff Bezos, the world's largest, I can't remember if you call it a shopping mall, but anyway, you can buy anything, anywhere, anytime on Amazon. That was his vision. And so he leads from vision. And what we can see in the intuitive feeler is catalyst. The belief in people and the belief in a cause and the sheer commitment to humanity that comes from intuitive feelers is something that is just so powerful to an organization and to every individual in the organization. So, when it comes to then looking at the individual leaders, what is it they really value? And the intuitive thinker will come from ingenuity, from a pride of being able to devise systems and to figure out the best ways to make things, and feels true self-esteem when they have invented something new. And at the same time, going back to empathy, self-esteem will come from that intuitive feeler that will feel high esteem for themselves when they know they are being empathetic. And to be honest with you, I don't think you can teach either one. You can help someone continue to build their capacity for it, but I really believe that these are things that you either have or you don't have. And that's not just personal opinion. I mean, that's coming from a lot of study and a lot of understanding. And so the intuitive thinker is always looking for combining their intuition with that question of effectiveness and accuracy. And the intuitive feeler is looking for authenticity and harmony. And now what the other part, again, if you're familiar with Myers-Briggs, I'm not going to go into detail, but the other part of the continuum are SPs, sensing perceivers, and SJs, sensing judgers, and they are prototypical managers for a different set of reasons. Part of which is just they are more concrete in their language, in their observation. If I can see it, I believe it, as opposed to the abstract visionary world in which intuitives live. So that's what I wanted to pass on today was the importance to that person the importance of that person in an organization, especially if you're trying to start a new organization and you're the visionary. You need to have that complementary person who is focused on the people, is incredibly good at spotting talent. And again, remember that thing of intuition and being able to put pieces together that spots, oh, this person can do this job. Well, what's their resume? I don't know, but I know they can do that job. And so aligning yourself with that intuitive feeler who has the innate capacity for that is going to make all the difference in the world in getting an organization either going or taking it to the next level. So that's what I wanted to share today. Keep your eye out for those intuitive feelers that may not be out on the front line, but they're in there in successful organizations making things happen. And when there is one, they're so good at making things happen that you oftentimes don't realize how much they're contributing to the organization. So that's what I've got today, and I will see you next time. Take care.